Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to day 66 of the Free to Hope presents 12 Steps Applied to COVID-19. My name is Edwina B, and you are here with me this morning on the Recovery Conversation. How I share my experience, my strength, and my hope of 30 plus years utilizing and practicing the 12 steps that are spiritual in nature in all my affairs, including COVID-19. And as of November of 2020, me and 7 of my family members survived COVID-19. And therefore, I am now on day 66, continuing this conversation on sharing with you the benefit and the wisdom of applying these 12 recovery spiritual principles in all our affairs, but specifically to COVID-19. The 12 steps were created by the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous over 80 years ago. No, I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, grateful, and humble member for over 30 years. And if God continues to breathe life into me and wake me up on February the 23rd of 2021, we will celebrate 21 years free from drugs, alcohol, prostitution, and all of the associated lifestyles, attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, and actions. And for that, I am truly grateful. And I want you to recognize that He, the Creator, breathed life into you this morning, breathed life into me this morning, woke you up this morning, woke me up this morning, woke the 7 other family members who contracted and survived COVID-19 this morning. They are yet breathing. And we want to give acknowledgement, we want to give honor, and we want to say thank you for giving us this day, this hour, this moment, this second, because we can breathe. Because we know some cannot, will not, won't be able to breathe to their fullest capacity because of this devastating pandemic called COVID-19 and all the other variants that are among us. So we want to give 30 seconds of silence and homage to our Creator and homage to those who have transitioned from COVID-19, those who have lost loved ones and are left behind regarding COVID-19, those who are on their last breath as we speak regarding COVID-19, those who are yet suffering with COVID-19, those who are intervening on behalf of those with COVID-19. They too are putting their lives at risk and the risk of their loved ones too, but yet they forge ahead in order to try to save at least one life. We want to pay homage and give 30 seconds of silence to those who yet believe this COVID-19 is a hoax. We want to give homage and 30 seconds of silence to those who are still in denial. We want to pray for those and give 30 seconds of silence for those who are in the prevention mode, intervention mode, and restoration mode of COVID-19, those who are being proactive, reactive, inactive, and responsible for COVID-19, in essence, the entire human race, who is simultaneously going through this COVID pandemic and is being affected, impacted in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Therefore, every knee will bow while we simultaneously as a world go through this COVID-19. But there is a solution, and they are in the 12 steps as demonstrated in the article by Dr. Scott T. Allison. We as a world can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step programs. So what we do in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Sex Anonymous, Lust Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, they all use the same spiritual steps. And now we are addressing it in COVID-19 Anonymous. Yes, I'm calling it into existence. So let us have 30 seconds of silence as we pay homage to our Creator who knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this devastating pandemic called COVID-19. It is not the first and it won't be the last. But right now we have a solution to deal with COVID-19, its devastating outcomes, impact, effect, and fatalities. Join me for 30 seconds of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He says, you're welcome. Those who won't say thank you, those who aren't able to say thank you, those who refuse to say thank you, I say thank you on their behalf. Because we know in a 12-step program that our Creator only asks us to do two things: stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. When we apply these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19, he just wants us to do two things: stay free from COVID-19 and help another stay free from COVID-19. If we can do this individually, as a family, as a culture, as a community, as a city, as a state, as a country, simultaneously as a world, we can stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. So they also say in our 12-step program that some of us must die in order for some of us to live. And that is so hard to hear, but I want you to listen. Why must some of us die in order for some of us to live? Similar to a 12-step program, they say that some people are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are incapable of being totally honest. Then there are those who are defiant, who are rebellious, who are stubborn, who are egotistical, who are self-centered, who are just in total denial, and they refuse to take the simple suggestions of wearing a mask, washing their hands, social distancing, not going out in public if it's not necessary, not going around family and having family gatherings and parties and all that. They are the ones, some of them, who must die. Then there are ones who, like the little ones, like the seniors, of no fault of their own, succumb to COVID-19. Why? Because of the decisions that others who are responsible for them, those who have been put under their care, they are making bad choices and bad decisions. And some of them will die as well and have died. That's why I know that I've been blessed to have 30 plus years in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, and to have been blessed to internalize, analyze, evaluate, dissect these 12 spiritual principles and practice them in all my affairs, even with COVID-19, which I did not do back in November of 2020. Therefore, I contributed to contracting COVID-19 with the information that I had. And I too had that feeling of being invincible. It won't happen to me. It's out there, being defiant, being rebellious, in denial. And I infected some of my family members, and yet we all live by the grace of God. We could have succumbed to the fatalities like many others around the world have. But for whatever reason, God saved our lives. And therefore, it is my obligation, my duty, my responsibility to share with you my experience, my strength, and my hope regarding applying these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature. We have to learn to deal and combat this COVID-19 from a spiritual angle against this physical condition. As Donald Lawrence says, we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. No, we are spiritual beings walking and living this natural experience called COVID-19. So we have to address this COVID-19 pandemic from a spiritual angle in order to bring about a spiritual transformation that will bring about a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening, in order to obtain spiritual maturity and get that psychic change that we need to address our old and existing attitudes, ideas, and behaviors regarding COVID-19 and apply these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19 and stopping the perpetuation of the devastating outcome, impact, effect, and fatalities. All human beings are ill to some extent, and all human beings can benefit from the 12 steps. Okay, so not only have I survived COVID-19, I also got vaccinated. Yes. And I want to share with you before we go any further that experience of being vaccinated. Yes, I too was one of the ones that said, I'm not going to get the vaccine. No, I'm not going to do that. They're trying to kill us off, and they're trying to repeat history and all that. But guess what? I did my research. I read my books. I asked questions. I looked at who was taking and who is taking the vaccination. I learned that what I was basing my decision on, some was factual, but then others was just based on fear. Based on my preconception, my assumptions, right? But listen, I helped infect my grandchildren, and I don't want us to go through that again. And so if I am to be an example and a leader and attraction for those who are in my care, I need And I did get vaccinated. Yes, I did. And we know that receiving the vaccination does not prevent you from catching COVID-19. It limits and minimizes the severity of the symptoms should we contract COVID-19. I know with six members of my family, they were asymptomatic. And two of us, me and my 2-year-old grandson, had symptoms. And in our perspective, they were severe. But when we look at other people's experiences, no, we did not have that same experience. Why? I don't know. They say pre-existing conditions, but we don't know for sure, because people who are healthy, people who are young, people who are old with no pre-existing condition have succumbed to the fatality of COVID-19. So we really don't know. Man is limited. Only the Creator knows. So if I am to be an example, if I am to be an attraction, I need to suggest to you that you do the same thing, recognizing that this vaccine will limit and minimize the severity of the effects of COVID-19. It will decrease the percentage, these dentures, boy, I tell you, the percentage of being hospitalized. It will prevent possibly my death. So why wouldn't I want to take the vaccine? So let me share with you my experience taking the vaccination administered through Canaan Baptist Church, where my pastor, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock, shared with his sheep. I got a call from Reverend Robert Daniels, who told me where the information was to get the vaccine. And when I did what I was instructed to do, I got my appointment. I went to the facility, and I was blessed to have Dr. Coker administer the vaccine for me. So here is that example. No, here is the video before we get into our recovery conversation. Enjoy.
All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it? All righty. Put your Band-Aid on. We'll watch you for about 15 minutes. Okay. And then we'll check on you and we'll give you a date. In about a month, we'll call you. How about that?
In a month?
Yeah. All right, that's 28 days.
All righty. Can you take a skill shot next to the doctor?
You see? I took the vaccine shot. Yes. It was in this arm, and that was on Saturday. And I haven't had no side effects, but just a sore arm, But ain't the first time I had a needle. And my addiction, I got needles for having STDs. Yes, And my addiction, I had to get needles for other things on other parts of my body. And so if they were to give me the antibody that I needed for contracting a syphilis during my prostitution years, yes, why wouldn't I want to take the vaccine that can help decrease the severity of the symptoms of COVID-19? Decrease the possibility of me going into the hospital, and ultimately decreasing the percentage of meeting the fatalities of COVID-19. So yes, I am taking, and I did take, and I suggest and recommend that you take the vaccine as well. But don't listen. Do your own research. Do your own homework, right? I am a believer. I have faith. and I need to set an example. But I also don't want to experience those symptoms again, nor do I want to watch my grandchildren and other family members go through those symptoms. And I don't even want you to go through them, the severity of them, if you don't have to. All right? So, what we want to do now is to recognize that we can breathe. We can smell. We can taste. We can feel. We can see. We can hear. But we want you to listen. To listen. To listen. Right? And so, one of the things that I want to share with you before we go on is to introduce my sponsors to you, right? And the first sponsor that I have is called Divine Light, right? Isn't this beautiful? Divine Light, oh my God. Isn't that beautiful? I'll put the light on, right? Divine Light is an organization here in Wilmington, Delaware. They also have an office in Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it's amazing how Divine Light coincides with this program because Dr. Bob and Bill W. and Dr. Carl Jung realized that the religious field couldn't help alcoholics. The medical field was limited. What we needed was divine intervention, divine providence in order to address the disease of alcoholism, right, from a spiritual angle. And then for me, years later, to be hooked up with an organization called Divine Light. Yes, they help people who are on drugs, alcohol, suffering from mental illness. And in addition to that, they also provide housing for the clients that they serve who are in need of housing. So, my other sponsor is Free to Hope. Free stands for From Recovery, Emerge Empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Another sponsor of mine is Women Do Haul Transportation Services. Yes, as a result of being in recovery for 30 plus years, we have an organization that employs individuals who are in need of a job, but through Women Do Haul LLC, Free to Hope LLC, the nonprofit Divine Light, and the Wilmington Enterprise Community, right? So Divine Light and the Enterprise Community, Free to Hope, and Women Do All is in support of this podcast. And if your organization or if you would like to sponsor these podcasts, please contact me and your name and organization will be listed because we want this information, like the 12-step programs, to be free. Free to individuals. Don't have to pay for nothing, right? But we do need sponsors, right? And so I recommend that you please contact me if you would like to be a sponsor individually or as an organization so that we can increase our platform to save lives from this COVID-19 and to stop the perpetuation of it. All right, so let's get to our conversation this morning. I didn't put my banner up, but I'm going to put it up now. And here it talks about, my experience of being drug-free and how me and how 8 family members, including myself, survived COVID-19. Yes, wear a mask, wash your hands, social distancing, and like me, please start a COVID-19 support group. Contact me at Edwina.bell@yahoo.com, Edwina, EDWINA .bell, BELL, at yahoo.com, or call me at 302-690-6679. 302-690-6679. The information will also be listed on my closing screen. All right, so we have some catching up to do. All right, so you know that in recovery of the 12-step group, repetition is so important. I mentioned Dr. Scott T. Allison and the article that he wrote in Psychology Today back in March of 2020. I also mentioned extracting Jason Waller, JASON breakdown of the 12 steps. And I also presented to you the actual 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, but replacing alcohol with COVID-19. So let me share with you quickly that information that we have been sharing for a while. So let me go here. Okay. And here. So, hold on, y'all. Okay. Share. All right. And let me go get this information and bring it to you. All right. And we have it here. Okay. Great. Where are you? Okay. So let's see here. All right. So for some reason, I can't find what I'm looking for, but that's okay. With Dr. Scott T. Allison, he talked about 7 points and from an Al-Anon approach. And he mentioned that patience, trust, letting go of control, keeping the focus on yourself, staying in the present, social connections, and being of service to others. So go to Psychology Today to read in detail what Dr. Scott T. Allison focused on in his article, We Can Benefit from the Wisdom of the 12-Step Programs. What are the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous? That we're going to change the area of focus to COVID-19. They are: 1, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs, right? Now, we presented to you yesterday and a few days ago. We are on recovery principle number 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs regarding COVID-19. And I've been using Jason Waller's breakdown of recovery principle number 5, where I share with you the foundation, the preparation, before we are pose those questions that will give us a better understanding of why we need to embrace, learn, analyze, evaluate all of these 12 spiritual principles to stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. And recovery principle 4 and 5 helps us get to the bottom of that iceberg that's submerged underneath the water, the depth, the width, to find out the exact nature of our character defects that were recognized and identified in recovery principle number 4. So let's continue with the foundation of the information before we pose these questions. Okay, are you ready? In the meantime, let's take a drink. Cup of coffee. Here's to we can breathe. I no longer take for granted the ability to breathe. That's the most important thing that I've got in touch with after contracting and surviving COVID-19. Everything else is irrelevant. I can breathe. Let's take a drink. Okay. Now, yesterday we stopped at what they call the section Stopping the Cycle, where we talked about while working step 5, the repetition of the same type of situations and patterns of behaviors reveals themselves quite obviously. We also began to focus attention on what is behind the patterns of our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors regarding COVID-19 and why we act out in the way that we do. This is a great opportunity in the process of addressing COVID-19 when we can start calling these negative patterns of behavior regarding COVID-19 as character defects. Destructive behaviors usually reflect underlying character defects, right? Which is the engine that drives most of us off our off-the-wall action. Being defiant, being rebellious, being stubborn, egotistical. Why? Because they suggested wearing a mask, washing our hands, social distancing, getting vaccine in order to save my life, your life, the lives of our loved ones, the lives of our human beings. Come on now. All right. And then it also says, when we get to steps 6 and 7, we will get more in detail as to the benefits of those particular steps. Now, this is where we wanted to go over before we do the questions. It says, why should we do a 5th step? In case the above that I just mentioned wasn't enough, you should do it because there are certain damaging memories or beliefs that can only live in the dark, and shining a light on them can banish them for good. And so when we look at the 5th step that we do in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we know that there are some attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that that were formulated way back and at different parts in our process of living on this earthly journey. And those negative attitudes, ideas, and behaviors brought about character defects, where we became so stubborn, we became so rebellious about authority or our ego and our pride and that feeling of being invincible. Well, guess what? We're now going to apply those same things to COVID-19. All right. And so here, when we talk about interaction, this is what Jason Waller writes. Okay. He says, why should we do a 5th step? In case the above wasn't enough, you should do it because there are certain damaging memories or beliefs that can only live in the dark, and shining a light on them can banish them for good. So what we have concealed for so long about where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, decisions, and choices were formulated, that we were going to take to our grave. We don't want to tell nobody what we did. We have all these secrets. No, we want to be set free from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. He goes on to say, an alcoholic leads a double life worthy of an Oscar award most of the time. More so than most people, the alcoholic is an actor who presents the character to the outside world that they want others to see. So when we relate that to COVID-19, what is our problem in wearing the mask? What is our problem in washing our hands? What is our problem with social distancing? What is it, right? And through the fourth and now the fifth step, we can find out why. Not that there's anything wrong with you. We want to know what happened to you. You want to know what happened to me, to get those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, choices, and decisions we know can destroy our lives. But yet, we are defiant and rebellious. Why? The gentleman said yesterday, this COVID-19 could be replaced with a shotgun, meaning that if somebody was in front of you with a shotgun and they said, I'm going to take your life and I'm going to take the lives of your loved ones, what would you do to protect yourself and them? Well, guess what? COVID-19 can be used in that analogy. Yes, it's just like a shotgun. What are we doing to protect ourselves and our loved ones? So why would we be afraid of a shotgun, but we're not afraid of COVID-19? So in recovery, we learn to not forget everything and run. We learn to face everything and recover. Okay? So he goes on to say, after completing step 5 of AA, we no longer have to do this. And wearing those artificial masks don't mean nothing. But putting on the mask that can save your life. What you see now is a representation of my culture. You want to see what COVID-19 looked like on me? Go back to day 1 of these 66 days, which is December the 3rd, and you will see the transformation. You will see the transparency of what COVID looked like then on me. I didn't have these pearly white dentures in, I didn't have these glasses. I was sick and I could have died, And so I've learned since then that I didn't do before is apply these 12 spiritual principles in order to save my life and to help save the lives of my loved ones and possibly your life, right? If you want to go back to my first introduction of the 12 steps back in March, when I got that article from Dr. Scott T. Allison, go to April the 1st of 2020, and you will hear the beginning of the 12 steps presented through my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom. And then when I contracted COVID-19 back in November, you will also hear how I now am willing to apply these 12 steps, right, to COVID-19. My experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom, my bad decisions, my bad choices. No, I have been restored to sanity as a result of these 12 spiritual principles, dealing with this COVID-19 from a spiritual angle and no longer from a physical one. So take off those other masks and put on the mask that will save your life. Wash your hands, social distancing, right? Avoid those parties. Avoid the public. What? A football game? Oh my God, I can't. Super Bowl, Christmas, Turkey Day, right? But in Alcoholics Anonymous, we've learned that every day is a holiday, every day is a new day, and every day can be a happy day. So we need to recognize that we can take these simple suggestions that the CDCs and the researchers are saying, and if you don't believe them, do your own research, and then apply these 12 spiritual principles, and you will see, like I see, that we can be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. Okay? He goes on to say, once we have completed step 5, we are able to look the world in the eye, let our fears fall away, and feel at perfect peace and ease on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. Like we do in Alcoholics Anonymous. There is a creator who created us all, right? I had a problem with the God thing, so they say use higher power. You may call it the universe, you may call it the force. Guess what? It's a power greater than you. It's a power greater than me, right? And when we begin to learn, apply, analyze, and practice these 12 spiritual principles regarding COVID-19, we will be at peace. We will experience faith that no matter what's going on with this physical condition, when we look at this what's going on in the world from a spiritual angle, we detach from the emotion to make a better spiritual decision based on these 12 spiritual principles. I'm telling you, you will experience peace and you will be happy to walk hand in hand with the spirit of the universe, you being a part of the solution when our Creator decides to do something different with this COVID-19. But right now, all human beings are having this knee-bowing experience to challenge us that we don't have the power. No, we don't. But we can do something. We can align our will with the Creator's will to stop the perpetuation of this COVID-19. In other words, we cry out and say, help me, help us, help us. All right. So now let's see what the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous say regarding step 5, and then we will begin the questions. Okay. So it says, now, as you hear, I want you to try to listen and be able to change the area of focus that the AA is talking about and replace it with COVID-19, okay? So it says, we will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first, if we skip this vital step, we may not overcome COVID-19. It says drinking, but I'm saying COVID-19. So when you know that you have that character defect of being defiant, rebellious, resistant, having that attitude of being invincible, talking to another person who is from a spiritual angle or who is part of a 12-step program can help you get to the exact nature of why you have that character defect and how we can get to the exact nature to have it presented to the God of our understanding to remove it. Okay, it says here, time after time, people have tried to keep themselves, to keep certain things to themselves about their lives. Like nobody wants to be totally honest. Nobody wants to be totally transparent. Everybody wants to wear these different masks, but don't want to put on the mask that save their lives, that don't want to take the vaccine that could stop the severity of the symptoms of COVID-19. Why? 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 Don't you want to know? Don't you want to live? Don't you want answers? Don't you want explanations? Don't you want clarity? Huh? Or do you want to be like, I'm the great I am and what? Whew, okay. Then it also says, trying to avoid these humbling experiences, they have turned to easier methods, right? Almost invariably, they got drunk, but we're going to say they contracted COVID-19. Okay. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wonder why they failed. Could you imagine what people who have lost loved ones to COVID-19, what they are asking themselves now? What should we have done? What could we have done? The if I could have, would have, should have syndrome, right? But through the 12-step program, listen, we forgive, we give unconditional love so that we don't have to affect others. We don't have to be the reason why somebody else is dying because of our bad decisions, our bad choices. Yes, there's still hope. Set yourself free, set me free so that we can give hope to others. Take the suggestions, get the vaccination if you choose to. But why wouldn't you? Explore those reasons. Okay? And now it says here, we think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory, all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else all their story. And so I am so glad that I was able to share my fourth step with my sponsor, after sharing it with a man of the cloth, but I had ulterior motives for doing that. So that didn't turn out the way it's supposed to have turned out because I was still being deceitful. I was still being manipulative, right? And so when I did my fifth step with my sponsor, I got the spiritual transformation I needed. And so with this COVID-19 and talking with the doctors and doing the research and talking to other people, like like Pastor D, Pastor D, Pastor Derek Johnson of Wilmington, Delaware, right? Dr. Cornell Bronson, right? Pittsburgh, right? They are the ones who survived COVID-19, right? Tyrone Johnson, while his brother, Pastor D, Derek Johnson, was in the hospital right down the hall. Their sister was there, and she succumbed to the fatality of COVID-19. So if you don't believe this COVID-19 is real, talk to somebody you know. Talk to somebody you have close relationships with. Talk to them. And maybe through the fifth step, you can get to the exact nature of why you are yet defiant, why you are yet rebellious, why you are yet in denial, why you yet have that feeling of being invincible. I'm talking from experience. I too was like that. And can be if I choose to, but I don't choose to. Oh, no, I don't. So that's why me doing my research and getting vaccinated, right? So I can share with you my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom, my bad choices, my bad decisions. But through that fourth and fifth step, I got to the exact nature, and I am now leading by example. Are you? You can. All right. So let's go on. Here are the questions to ask when doing your fifth step. Now, Jason Waller, I love his breakdown, his synopsis, his summary, his outline, his template. And so he uses the information that we've been sharing for the last 6 days as preparation, the foundation, to give you enough information to help you, right, answer these questions honestly with an open mind and being willing. That's the how of the program. 3 spiritual indispensable principles. How? Honesty. O, open-mindedness. W, willingness. All right. So he says, if you've been thinking about doing your fifth step of AA and now COVID-19 and perhaps putting it off, keep in mind that Laying it all out there on the table provides a great opportunity to finally let go of all your stuff. This is a time when everyone in the world's life is on the line. Nothing in our lifetime have we experienced such a episode, but if we go back in history, it's not the first time man has experienced a pandemic, and it won't be the last time. So when we pose these questions that Jason Waller outlines, please keep in mind that you may hear, but the goal is to listen, because listening implies action. Okay, so let's see what we have done before we pose these questions. Let's see if I can get this information. In the meantime, let me show you again while I go get what I need, me taking the vaccine shot, okay? All right.
I think I got some.
All right, got it?
Let me start it again. Come on. Go ahead.
All right, here we go, my daughter. Got it? All righty, put your Band-Aid on. We'll watch you for about 15 minutes. Okay. And then we'll check on you and we'll give you a date in about a month. We'll call you. How about that?
In a month?
Yeah. All right. 28 days.
All right. Can you take a steel shot?
See, I got my vaccine shot. Today is Tuesday. I got it Saturday. I got a sore arm. My 2-year-old took the Band-Aid off and gave grandmama a kiss on her boo-boo, right? But I got vaccinated. And as you can see, Dr. Coker administered it for me. So please do that. All right. Now, let's look at the questions that Jason Waller is going to pose. And we are going to, I'm going to read them all to you. And then tomorrow we're going to go to each one and dissect them, evaluate them, analyze them, right? And apply our old and existing attitudes, ideas, and behaviors. Apply them to these questions so that we can experience that transformation that's needed to have a spiritual awakening, to increase spiritual maturity, and obtain that psychic change that's needed in order to do the next right thing and applying the spiritual angle and dealing with this physical condition called COVID-19. So these are some of the questions that we are going to dissect. So I'm going to read them all to you, and then tomorrow we will go one by one. All right. Okay. So it says, here are some questions to help guide and prepare you before and after doing step 5. Okay. So I'm going to read what Jason Waller says from an alcoholic's point of view, okay? But then tomorrow, when I repeat them, they're going to be an area that we're going to change the focus to COVID-19, all right? So because we are applying the 12 steps to COVID-19, I want you to hear what he says in applying recovery principle number 5 to alcohol, which is the same thing I did. And then tomorrow we'll change the area of focus. So here are the questions posed as an alcoholic. All right. How long have I been living alone with my secrets and wrongs? How do I feel about admitting my wrongs, my secrets to another? Am I ready to share and let go of anything that hinders my recovery? 2, what reservations do I have about working my 5th step? 3, can I acknowledge and accept the exact nature of my wrongs? 4, do I believe that working my 5th step will make my life better? If so, how? 5, did I set a time and place for my 5th step? When and where? 6, has my relationship with a higher power changed as a result of working the 5th step? 7, how has my view of myself changed after working step 5? 8, did I forget or omit anything? And 9, if I am still clinging to something that doesn't work, am I willing to ask for help in letting it go? So we are going to come back tomorrow and we are going to dissect, evaluate, analyze those questions, but change the area of focus to our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that are old and existing in order to bring about that spiritual transformation, to change those old and existing attitudes, ideas, and behaviors to new attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, decisions, and actions based on spirituality, not religion, not the medical, but a spiritual angle to deal with this physical condition. Okay, so let me close by saying once again, are you in the prevention mode of COVID-19? Are you in the intervention mode of COVID-19? Or are you in the restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you being proactive, reactive, or inactive regarding COVID-19? Are you being responsible now as it relates to COVID-19? You, like I, can be a part of the solution to save one life, to save one family, to save one culture, to save one community, one city, one state, one country. And if we do it simultaneously, we can and we will stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. And just like they said in Alcoholics Anonymous, stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety, we apply that same analogy to COVID-19. Stay free from COVID-19, wash your hands, social distancing, wear the mask and get vaccinated so that we can help another do the same thing. So if it's God's will that we meet on day 67, and he decides to breathe life into you, into me, to wake you up and to wake me up tomorrow, on day 67, because he, God, our creator, uses shattered, wounded, and broken people like me and like you to rescue shattered, wounded, and broken people like me and like you. Be safe, be safe, be safe. Go get those 12 steps. Do your research. Get those questions answered so that you can make the right next decision and choice based on a spiritual angle and not a physical one. So here goes my closing. Okay. We're going to take that out and we're going to replace my brand with this. And I want to say,